Mic check, mic check, mic check. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Happy Make Your Move Monday. Make Your Move Monday. Make Your Move Monday. Let's get after this thing this week. Let's be great this week. Let me just check all the platforms, make sure we're Monday. Let's get after this thing this week. Let's be great this week. We're good here. And let's get on YouTube and that play, and we'll get it going. As you can see, I'm a little earlier than normal today because the schedule is changing a little bit. Let's get it. All right, here we go. As you can see, what the title is, what we're going to be discussing, the kickoff question for the week, the theme for the week. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk all about consistency, continuity. What are you consistent with? Why being consistent is important, and why it's important also to recognize the things that you are consistent with and making sure that they're actually conducive to your development and making sure you're using them in a beneficial way. Now, all of this will make sense by the end of today's live stream. I'm just giving you a frame in terms of what we're going to be talking about. Before I get too into the topic, let me just introduce myself to anybody that may be new to this channel, new to my world, new to what I'm all about. First and foremost, my name is Aswand Cruickshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. I created a whole brand, a whole framework, a whole mindset. Whole company around the idea of taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and applying them to businesses and organizations so they have a staff, a group of employees that moves as efficiently and as cohesively and has that same eager, has that same passion, has that same hunger as a championship youth high school or youth football team. The reason I target the youth or high school levels is because that's the mindset you want to have in your group of employees. See, the thing about the professional and the collegiate ranks is now there's an agenda for everybody that is playing at a certain place. You know, it's all about business and what's going to be best for them because they're kind of at the latter parts of their year. What you want is you want a group of employees that has that same look in their eyes, that same eye of the tiger in their eyes that you would see when you're at that high, with those high school games, at those youth football games, because you see that eye of the tiger and they're hungry. All right. That's the kind of employees that you want. And I have a great deal of experience in terms of that level, in terms of I've seen a lot of it. All right. I've seen it from that level all the way to college to the point where I've worked for a pro team with the Miami Dolphins Foundation while doing a lot of different things in the fitness and the education world. So again, all that is available to you if you're new to my world. Again, be sure you like, comment, subscribe to this channel. What we're going to be talking about, let me put it up on the screen real quick. What we are going to be dissecting today is consistency. Actually, you know, it's already here. Let's go. Is consistency. And we're going to really take a deep dive throughout this entire week about the importance of consistency. All right. The importance of what it's all about and why your brand and everything you're about as a business owner, everything you say, everything you do, everything you put out there, whether you're a business owner listening to me, content creator listening to me, just a normal employee that wants to keep their job, whatever it is, wherever you fall in that range, or an athlete trying to maintain their value to the organization, your consistency is incredibly important. But there is a catch. There is a trick. You have got to make sure you're consistently doing the right things. All right. Somebody's got to be there to tell you, like, this is consistently doing the right things or you're consistently doing the wrong things. That's where the issue comes in. It's a vague question today, but we're going to dissect it all. We're going to make sure we understand that consistency does come with an understanding that you have to be consistently doing the correct things, doing the right things. All right. So as I dive into that, I want to just make sure I make a few announcements. There'll be a few more coming up as we move forward because I added some new items to the shop. I'll have a little tweak to my boxing lessons. All that stuff is coming as we're now fully in the summer. First thing I need you to do, though, as a business owner, here's what you got to do to really get yourself established and show me that you have some interest in building a team or building a group of employees, that your retention rates are going to lower and you're going to be able to keep people around and add value. If you're somewhat interested in that as a business owner, I need you to go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. I created a very easy to understand 10-step process towards how you can actually start utilizing some of these tools right now to make it so the people that walk into your organization right now have a sense of purpose and they understand exactly what it is they need to be doing. I put it into a very easy to understand math problem. First of all, you got to establish measurables. Secondly, you got to create a professional distance. You can't be their friends. All right. As a business owner, in a nicer way of saying it. All right. In a more blunt way of saying it. You don't get to be their damn friends. All right. As a coach, you don't get to be the players' friends. As a business owner, you get to be your employees' friends. You don't get to be buddy with them. There needs to be a professional distance. There needs to be measurables that need to be met, and there needs to be a professional distance. Those are the only two options if you want to create a productive environment. All right. Establishing measurables and a professional distance. You have got to have that. There are people's jobs on the lines. There's how people are going to feed their families, how bills are going to be paid, mortgage is going to be paid. All these things that are coming with a check and these people are depending on you as an owner to make the right decisions, not to make the decisions that are going to just are going to leave them with a kind of a friend zone or be some part of a clique, some sort of a club. You don't get to have that as a business owner. All right. You got to make sure there's a professional distance between you and your staff. And at that point, folks, then you would have the productive environment, whatever that productive environment looks like for you. You need those two things, all right? So it's establishing measurables and adding a professional distance that creates a productive environment. Simply click this screen that you see right here on the screen. It's your first name, last name, phone number, email, and you will get a 10-step process on how you can start utilizing that right now. If you're ready to get it cracking, if you're ready to make some moves right now and you don't want you're good with all the free stuff and you just want to have me come out and speak to your staff and say, look, let's get this thing cracking right now, you can go to makeyourmove.com. You can learn more about me, what my workshops are all about, what my keynotes are all about. I have some free resources right there that you can get right there on makeyourmove.com. You can do your research. Again, go do your research. All right. When it comes to me, this is what I've been doing for years at this point. This is why I have the #1 show on innovative teamwork. This is what we are all about. You can do all the research you need. Also, if you want to just shop and support, we added a new item to the store, the Wintrepreneur. If you don't know what a word Wintrepreneur is, don't worry. I'm going to be explaining all that throughout the week. Especially on Wednesdays is usually when I do my Wintrepreneur Wednesdays. But you can go, you can shop, you can get merch. Tons of things. There's a lot coming down the pipeline over here in the Move Swiftly world. And if you as a business owner, you need to be on it. You need to be on it because like me and Miss Kimberly Blue were talking about yesterday in Stay Hired Sunday, the jobs and the things that you need, that a lot of it is changing. How you go about adding your skill set, how you go about teaching skill set, how you go about creating professional development and making it so when someone comes to you as an employee, they're also getting better over a period of time. This stuff needs to be tracked. You cannot be in a situation where you're just hoping stuff happens and you're bringing people in. It's like a factory, because that costs you so much money. It costs you so much money to keep a staff, to keep replacing people and to keep going over and over the same thing. And it's all because there's a lack of structure within your system and within your organization. So you got to make sure you're doing a better job and doing what you have to do to fix those problems before they come up. In fact, go look up the topic a couple of weeks ago where I spoke about the importance of being a proactive problem solver. And by the way, again, if it's your first time tuning in, the 97% of the work I do here is evergreen material, meaning you're going to consume this in June of 2025. If you want to pick it up in June of 2050, it'll be the same material, the same importance. If you want to go June 3000. All right. It's going to be the same importance because my material has always been evergreen from day one. Now, I'll use current events and use certain things to exercise or to illustrate my point. But for the most part, that's why you don't see, I don't even have an X account because a lot of that stuff is kind of just highlighted stuff. If you want to get at me, it's usually YouTube, LinkedIn, and that's really at YouTube, LinkedIn, and medium.com, which again, matter of fact, I'll just put it on the screen now because we're going to get into the article. Now in terms of where my biggest platforms are, because I know who I'm serving. I know who my audience is. I know the kind of people that I want to work with on a day-to-day basis. They are not interested in just short highlight reels type of material. They're interested in long form content where we really do a deep dive in terms of what the situation is, what the situation's all about, and how can we diagnose it? How can we make it so this problem is not a problem a week from now? That's what we're in the business of doing, man. We're in the business of solving problems as entrepreneurs and as business owners. That is our role. That is your job. That is exactly why somebody's paying you the big bucks. So that's why you're making an offer that's going to be the big bucks, right? The big money. If you want the big money, you better have a damn problem. So you better have a solution to a problem that is that has been consistent throughout a lot of the people that you work with. What is working with you? What is working with you? What is working with you? What is working with you going to do to solve my problems? All right. That's what you got to show up with. You got to show up understanding that you have to be the solution. That is what it's all about. All right. So no, I'm going on an early rant. And that happens on my Mondays because we go make you move Monday around here. And when it comes to the topic and how I come up with my topics, in fact, what I've committed to doing, and again, there's a lot of things I'm managing in my own head these days because we're getting to the summer, because the world is changing. We're getting back to football season, and if you don't know, I'll tell you now. But the core, everything I'm about in terms of how my philosophy and how I think, it comes from the college football world. Or it comes from my experience as a college football player, and I got to sit back. I got to play for two different programs. I worked in the middle of playing in the middle of going from a Division II school to a Division I program. I worked in the fitness industry where I was around other personal trainers that were trying out for arena ball, played a little D1 here and there, just played all over the place. So I learned the business through the lens of college football. So whenever we get to the off season or whenever we're approaching college football, and me myself being a diehard Michigan fan, which is the best football program in the country. You heard me, the best football program in the country. All right. The most winningest. All right. If you really want to go there, but when it comes to the content and when it comes to the work I do outside of college football season, it's like, it's okay. It becomes a real concerted effort to make sure I have material, because I know once college football starts, I'm not going to run short of material and content and things to talk about at all, because that's my life. That's what it is. That's me. That's what I do. But at the same time, when it's not college football season, I'm that much more like hyper focused to make sure I have concepts and things that I'm going to be addressing throughout the week. So again, just giving you some philosophy, giving you some understandings of how I think and why I can be so consistent, and why I can be not only consistent with the material, but quality, consistent, and frequent. It's quality work, it's consistent, and it's frequent. All right. That's what my clients want. That's what my potential clients want. This is why, again, you only would see me on a LinkedIn or a YouTube or a Medium or even a Facebook business account. That's it. You're not going to see me regularly posting on Instagram, because Instagram, they want entertainment. The Twitter world wants Twitter beef and all that other bullshit. It's not what we do here. Keep it straight to the point. We keep it right where it needs to be. All right. So all that being said, all that build up. I tell I can get going. Let me get a sip of coffee before we get going today. Reading directly from the article now, medium.com. And for those of you who don't know, this is how it works. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there's a new article on Medium, and it's basically part of what I cover over here in the live stream. And I've been able to merge the two. And the book I'm working on now, this is why I call myself soon to be 6-time published author. But the book I'm working on now, How to Be a Wintrepreneur, the people who are following me on Medium as I'm building up my Medium audience, you all will be getting certain deals and certain discounts with this new book, because the Medium platform isn't as popular as Instagram or as a Twitter, but at the same time, it's still more, so I stand a better chance working with my ideal client here on Medium than I do on, Instagram or X or whatever it is, because those, again, they're all about entertainment. So let's dive it. Let's read through the article directly, and then I'll address the situations as they come up. So, Make Your Move Monday. Make Your Move Monday. What are you consistent with? That is the question. All right, that's the title of the article by Aswand Cruickshank. Move Swift plus LY. All right. Every Monday, we kick off the week with one mission: to help business owners build teams that operate like championship high school football programs. Tight-knit, disciplined, and built to win. Tight-knit, disciplined, and built to win. Say it again for the people in the back. Tight-knit, disciplined, and built to win. This week's kickoff question: what are you consistent with? Simple one. Simple, yes. Easier to answer, not so much. Here's the inspiration. All right, so the inspiration. This question hit me during a church service I attended with my girl at Church by the Glades in Coral Springs. Now, this was loud. The pastor put up a slide that read, "In perfect continuity and consistency." So let me give you some context on this. So I went to, so normally I go to Life Church. Normally I go to Life Church in West Palm Beach, but now, because me and her have been, we're getting more serious and we're planning more and more long-term plans, and things are just getting more and more serious by the day, I decided last week that I just wanted to, it was the second time I've gone to church with her at Church by the Glades. The first service, I loved it. I loved everything about it. In fact, I think I talked about it at some point on these live streams, but I love the idea of a church that is kind of built out the same way a concert is. Like, you walk in there, there's music, people are performing, it's a younger crowd, and there's no judgment. You could wear what you want, get your hat, your clothes, whatever it is you want. It's just about getting closer to the word. There's absolutely no judgment whatsoever. You get people who commit to these kinds of churches. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And in all honesty, had I not started going to a church like that, I would have never even met her, because there's certain things that I needed to commit to first. There's a certain lifestyle that I needed to commit to first before you meet anyone. And again, I've said this, I believe I spoke about it last week. It is not about you meeting another person in the physical sense as much as it is you cleaning up your shit, learning about the things that you want out of your life, learning how to articulate the things you want out of your life, learning how to make sure you're not only articulating, but taking and putting the action towards doing the things that you want. See, that's the difference. That's the difference. You can talk a lot. You can go on a lot of dates and talk a lot of shit. Or you could talk a lot of shit and talk up a good game. If you're not actually living in a way, all right, hear me clearly, because this can get real uncomfortable for some of you guys. It's going to get real uncomfortable. If you're not actually living in a way and taking action and saying, this is how I'm living right now, because I have these dreams, I have this goal, I have this specific thing that I want to do with my life and how I want to live my life. So I've made the hard decision to live here. I made the hard decision to do this. I made the hard decision to pay for that. I made the hard decision to do this so I can have this on the back end. If you're not doing those things, there's not a single person that's going to do shit for you. All right. You have to start in your own mind. And part of it is developing that walk of faith. A big part of it, a huge part of it, is developing that walk of faith and understanding, hey, at the end of the day, God's going to get you. God's got you no matter what. So when it comes to those types of church, in fact, let me just pull it up here, just so you guys have some visual. I'm doing a lot of preaching right now. All right, Church by the Glade. There it is. Yep, there it is. I'm gonna just put it on the screen real quick just so you guys can see it. But when you have these kinds of churches that are very, modern, and they have a younger crowd, and, people are looking, people that are just lost and going through whatever they're going through, it is very, very refreshing. It's very refreshing. Great events, great opportunities to work with other people, and people who have just done things. There are times, whether it's this church or even Life Church, the one I pay my tithes with, is when you've had pastors up there with tattoos and they're on their jeans and just very casual looking, and you're still getting the word, folks. You're still getting the words. That's been the biggest difference. It's been the biggest difference in my life throughout this past year. So again, I'm in church with her, and the pastor put up a slide that read, "In perfect continuity and consistency." Now, it just so happens that she and I were having a conversation about how to make things more consistent, or how to make things so everyone can understand them. And, as the pastor's talking, he was talking about other stuff, but she gives me this elbow nudge. Like, he's talking to you now. He's talking to the same stuff that pastor's preaching is the same stuff I've been telling you. And it was like kind of reciprocal, because in my mind, I pull out my phone, I take a picture of the slide, and boom, here we go. I got next week's theme. That's how I come up. Let me tell you, that's how I come up with these themes, is I allow myself to see the way life is. And I'm like, okay, that works. Where can my mind start going? In fact, you guys should go look up Jay-Z Fade to Black. I'm pretty sure you can find this on YouTube somewhere. And so it was supposed to be his last album. It was supposed to be Jay-Z's last album. And he was talking about, he wasn't talking about, but they showed the camera show. This was back in the days when they had DVDs, right? Actually, grandparents or your older uncles or whatever it is, what a DVD is. Like, they actually made DVD players. Everything wasn't digital. But so it was a clip taken from a documentary named Fade to Black, where they documented Jay-Z's last album and how he made it and what it was all about. He had everything on camera, and it was the song "What More Can I Say" that they documented. It's like, are you not never been in this hood for this long, this hood for this, the song "What More Can I Say." But they showed when he first heard the beat, of that song. And he was saying, I start thinking, as soon as I hear a beat, I start thinking, where can I go with it? What is it saying? What's the track saying? What story can I tell? It's poetry. It's actual artistry every single day. And ever since I've seen that, I saw that my sister, by the way, shout out to my sister. It's her birthday today. But it was when my sister actually recommended that DVD to me, and I watched it, and me being a Jay-Z fan, I was like, okay, what? So mentally, every time I'm in like a motivational place, a place that's high energy, very productive, I'm always of the mindset, okay, where can I go with it? What kind of music can I make? What's up? How can you apply this to your life? How can you do something with this information to make it so you can serve your client base, to serve your people a little better? That is all mentality, folks. That's all mentality. So when they put up on the screen in perfect continuity and consistency, it was like, boom, there it is. That's my theme next week, and we're gonna get this thing cracking, right? So back to the article for you podcast listeners, all right? And that right there is a quick, and I'm pretty much just reiterating what I just said. So, and that right there is a quick lesson in itself if you're serious about your business or your platform. Develop the habit of always being ready to be inspired. Stay alert, and you'll never run out of content. I promise you that. What do these words even mean? All right, let's start so we're on the same page in terms of what do the words continuity and consistency mean. Continuity, the unbroken, consistent existence of, the unbroken, consistent existence or operation of something over a period of time. Let's break that down a little bit. All right, continuity, the unbroken, consistent existence of or operation of something of over a period of time. Read it again, because I might be stumbling for you guys. Excuse me. The unbroken and consistent existence. All right, this is big. This word here, consistent existence or operation, which is the same thing. All right. The unbroken, consistent existence or operation of something over a period of time. Unbroken, continuity. The same way, again, same way you are when it comes to, it's the same way when you're talking about a organization, whether it's football, basketball, doesn't matter what the sport is. When you're talking about your business, if it's an unbroken system, an unbroken thing, that means people are working with each other. They're complementing each other. This one's doing that. That one's doing this. In fact, just yesterday, I'll give you an example. Just yesterday, we went to it was like a live music performance where it was two couples and it wasn't too many people out there. However, it was at this place called Plantation Walk or Plantation Live Music, where select dates where there's this couple and they do like a little music live music every Sunday for people that just kind of walk the park. There's apartments there. There's just a great environment. And right there in the complex in which they were doing the live music, we walked in and we saw it was a grocery store. It was like a market, but you can also order food. You can sit outside, enjoy your dinner, whatever it is. And then the guy had the grill right there in the back to where he can grill up some steak, grill up some burgers, whatever it is. All of that was in proximity as you're sitting there watching, right? You're sitting there watching the people perform. And even though it wasn't a huge crowd, you saw two people moving in continuity because they're working with all of these elements and all of these businesses, and then people were coming in and going to their apartments. It was a lovely atmosphere. This is what we mean when we say continuity. Continuity is something that you have you really got to get a hold of because of this word right here, unbroken. Really put some structure behind your goals, put some structure behind your ambition, put some structure behind the things that you are trying to accomplish in life, right? So understanding continuity before we get to consistency is actually very important because that gets overlooked. All right. So now that we got continuity down, consistency, acting or done in the same way over time, especially as to be fair or accurate. All right, here's the thing about consistency, and we're going to dive into this. We got about 15 minutes here as we dive into this. Nothing in that definition says it has to be a good thing. All right, nothing in that definition of consistency. We can all agree to understand. We know what consistency means. We know what it means to be consistent. We all have things in our own life that we're consistent at, but it is not in the definition at all. It's nothing in the definition that says consistency is always going to be a good thing for you. It's always going to lead to a good result. It's always going to lead to something that you're happy with. That is not said. Too often does the word consistency get thrown out as it just is automatically going to be a positive thing for you. No. That's not how the shit works. All right. Consistency. You can be a consistent jackass, or you can be consistent at being a damn jackass. You can be consistent at being fucking stupid and making the wrong decision. You can be consistently doing shit that is putting you in harm's way, putting other people and the people that love you in harm's way. You could be consistently making the wrong decisions, and it might not even be for bad reason. It could be just because you don't know no better. Nobody taught you better. Anybody. You didn't hear some YouTube guy or some guy on YouTube telling you or breaking this down for you, right? Consistency has got to be understood. Look, it can be a great thing or it can be a horrible thing, but you got to recognize the shit. You got to recognize it in yourself, and you got to recognize it really quickly before you do any harm to yourself and to the people and to your loved ones. Consistency, folks. Consistency. I want to make sure we hammer the point home. Say it with me, folks. Consistency is not always a good thing. All right. Consistency can also be a bad thing. Consistency can also be something that tarnishes everything you try to do. And if you don't get a hold of the shit, if somebody doesn't weed it out of you early, then you're just going to be consistently doing some bullshit over and over and over again. All right. So let me dive into that part of it right now. So it's not always a good thing. Just because you're consistent doesn't mean you're headed in the right direction. Let me say that again. consistency only helps when you're aligned with a vision that matters. Oh, biscuit, baby. My girl says that. She's going to smile with you. But let me say that again. Consistency only helps when you're aligned with a vision that matters. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back so you hear me clearly, loud and clear. Consistency, we just read the definition, only helps when you're aligned with a vision that matters. Period, point blank, end of sentence. What is the vision that actually matters? And are you consistently doing the things that's going to put you in a place where you're fulfilling that vision, where you're putting purpose to the vision? That is what needs to be happening. All right. J. Cole, arguably, J. Cole, rapper. All right. We've been talking a little bit about rappers today. All right. J. Cole, arguably one of the most thoughtful lyricists of our generation, once said in his favorite song, the name of the song is Love Yours. All right. Love Yours. And I strongly recommend, I'm not going to play it here because would get flagged for demonetization and all that. But go look it up on YouTube, where he gives a whole speech before he performs a song named Love Yours, where he just talks about how important it is. It's pretty self-explanatory when you're talking about what the name of the song is, but he's pretty much talking about why it's important to love yours and to be proud of the things that you have and be proud of the places that you came from and what you learned and how you learned and all that kind of stuff, right? And there's a line in that song where he says, the good news is you came a long way. The bad news is you went the wrong way. All right. Good news is you came a long way. Bad news is, man, you went the wrong way. That's very easy. That's very, very common. Right? It's very, very common. What I would say to that, what I would recommend for you guys is don't discount the hard work. Don't look at the situation and say, just because I may have gone the wrong way or I may have put forth some certain sort of effort and, it took a lot of energy, I would say to you, look, that work ethic that you have, there's something to be gained by that, something to be learned by that, and continue to progress. We all have been there. We've all been there. We've all been consistently, bad at doing something that landed us to a result that we were not happy with. It's fine. It's life. It's what happens. All right. Recognize it. Take the work ethic, take what you were willing to do, and then align it with whatever goal and strategy that you have to have. You have to, at some point, it's almost like when you're in the boxing ring and if you really go watch a boxing match and you see a boxer take a strong punch, take a right and then a left hook, right? Takes a right and then a left and then probably a jab cross. When you see a boxer take that kind of that kind of combination, you know what they do? They kind of just stumble. They get themselves gathered, they get back, they get away from it a little bit, and then they come right back strong. That's what you got to do. When life knocks your ass down and you have to face the music and somebody done told you this and, you just have to live with whatever results you have with whatever decision that you made. Sometimes it's like, okay, let me just rewind myself, recalibrate myself like a boxer and to get my ass back in the ring, because you don't have the option of not going back in the ring. All right, see, that's another point. The problem with a lot of you guys listening to me right now. See, you done had something happened. You had the energy. You had this idea. You wanted to do this. This happened. Some unfortunate happened, and then you just didn't get back in the ring. And you thought that was a good idea at the moment. You thought you had all the time in the world, but guess what? You don't. You don't have all the time in the world. You got to get your ass back in the ring. Like, get your ass back in the ring and say, let's finish this fight. Let's finish this fight. I know the work I'm willing to put in. I know what I want out of my life. I know the goals that I have, and I'm going to get back in the ring and kick some ass. All right. I'm going to kick some ass. Just know that you have to do that, or else will be a very, very unfulfilling reality for you. All right. So let that sit with you. You can be consistent. All right. So here we go. Let me go back. I'm going back directly to the article now. All right. So J. Cole, arguably one of the most thoughtful lyricists of our generation, once said in his favorite song, the good news is you came a long way. The bad news is you went the wrong way. It's called Love Yours. Let me just put it in Google real quick for anybody that wants to tune into that. Love Yours. Yeah. J. Cole, boy. Yeah. It's crack. Boy, I mean, it's spin. You can see, yeah, it's just the line in itself is easily, like, you search it up, it's easily one of the most popular. It's a strong line because it's important that you recognize that. All right, let that sit with you. Here we go. I'm going to close you guys out soon. So let that sit with you. You can be consistently lazy. All right. You know those. You know quite a few of those people. I can name quite a few people that I know that are like that. You can be consistently lazy. You can be consistently negative, just a damn pessimist. Every single time somebody has some good energy or has an idea, you got to be the one shooting it down and just being a negative person. You know some people who do that as well. Not to say that some of that isn't necessary. I do believe that some of the skepticism, there's a difference between being strongly critical and having a strong amount of skepticism versus just being negative all around. The difference is the actions of the person. The difference is usually with the source in which it's coming from and the information is coming from. That is the difference. The difference between negative and just strong skepticism is usually the fact that the person has tried some and they're just being skeptical because of something that they lived through, versus a person that's just lazy and negative and don't want to do anything and is looking for every motherfucking excuse to not go after their goals, to not build up what it is they want to build up. That's the difference. All right. So you can be consistently negative. You can be consistently damaging to your health, your finances, and your spirits. All right. That's the person that's saying they want to lose weight, that is constantly paying for a gym membership, has paid for gym memberships all over, he's paid all sorts of money, but doesn't get the fat ass up and work out every day. You're wasting money on gym memberships. You're saying you want to do this, but you never actually get your fat ass up and go work out. That's the difference. All right. You can be consistently paying. Again, you're consistently paying. You're consistently saying that you're going to get in shape. You're always talking about getting in shape, but you never actually get up and do anything. So no, continuity and consistency are not always good. They're only powerful when you're walking the right path. Say it again. I want to read this little line here again. All right. It says you can be consistently lazy. You can be consistently negative. You can be consistently damaging to your health, your finances, your spirit. So no, continuity and consistency are not always good. They're only powerful when you're walking in the right path, when it's the right path, and only you, looking at me, you, all right, only you can make the decision on what exactly the right path is for you. All right. But you got to be honest with yourself. You got to have that honest dialogue. You got to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what the is it do I want out of my life? Where do I want to be? How am I going to get there? What are the steps necessary for me to get where the hell it is I'm trying to get to in my life? All right. My answer. So again, newcomers here. Here's how it works. On Monday, I will put the question out there, and then I will give you my answer in terms of what in terms of whatever the question is that particular Monday. So my answer to the question of what am I consistent with? What are you consistent with is work ethic. I am consistent with my work ethic. Period. Now, again, many ways, some of this can land me in situations that aren't great, that are a situation that is I have been burnt, because like I was telling you guys last week, I assume too often my greatest weakness, my greatest flaw is that I assume that everyone cares as much as I do. Everyone has that. I assume that everyone has the kind of work ethic I have. Again, that can land me in situations where I'm working with people that do not have my best interests at heart. the consistent thing is not always going to lead to the positive result. All right. So I'm consistent with my work ethic, period. A few weeks back, I wrote about one of the best coaches I've ever had, Coach Brian Davis. All right. Let me see if yep. Coach Brian Davis. It's right here. Coach Brian Davis. He drilled it into us an acronym: WATER, work ethic, attitude, teamwork, enthusiasm, and respect. All right. So the W stood for work ethic. That principle has never left me. No matter what I do, business, boxing, writing, running, relationships, it all comes back to how hard I'm willing to work. That's been the constant. That's been the through line. All right. But I also give credit to my environment. Being around family who lived those values gave me the reinforcement I needed. If you missed it, read the piece I dropped the week before. So the week before I dropped this article on about Coach Brian Davis, I dropped it, as you can see, on May 28, 2025. The week before, I did a Wintrepreneur article about, the week before, May 21st, 2025, where it was all about worldview. And I spoke about my mother, my father, my sister, my older cousin. These were the family members that I looked up to growing up that were able to reinforce. All right, they reinforced what Coach Bryant was trying to get us to understand in regards to work ethic. So that environment being reinforced, that was the important part. And that is what I am imploring all of you guys to do when it comes to teaching consistency and putting people on the right path. All right. So you'll see how important it is to surround yourself with people who are consistent with the right things. All right. So tomorrow, as I kind of close you guys out, tomorrow we'll talk about the top 5 ways. Well, I'll read it directly and then talk to you guys about it. So what's next? This Monday question is just the kickoff. Tomorrow's Top 5 Tuesday and Wintrepreneur Wednesday will break down how to build a culture of continuity and consistency in your business and personal life. If you're a leader, entrepreneur, or anyone trying to build something that lasts, you can't afford to be consistent in the wrong things. Let's fix that together. All right. I'm going to say it again, but drop the mic with this line. If you're a leader, entrepreneur, or anyone trying to build something that lasts, you can't afford to be consistent in the wrong things. Let's fix that together. All right. You can't afford to be consistently doing the wrong things. And you got to bring people in. They're going to tell you, hey, you're consistently doing the wrong things, and it's leading to the results that you don't want. All right. So all that being said, again, main website to check out to dive deeper into everything I'm doing. It's makeyourmove.com. That's makeyaMove.com. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. Aswand, Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.